Alright guys, welcome back to the show. And like we said earlier, our guest is Lady Mary Dinah, a globally recognized humanitarian and founder of the Mary Dinah Foundation, which delivers impact across Africa in maternal health, malnutrition prevention, and women empowerment. Former beauty queen turned philanthropist, she's worked with UNICEF and other amazing bodies, reaching millions through her program on food security, education, and gender-based violence. Nice to have you on the show. You're welcome.
You're welcome. Nice to have you. And you look beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
So talking about your experiences earlier as a woman in the public eye, how has your experiences shaped your passion for social impact and advocacy?
Yeah, I mean, so my background is hospitality. I'm a hotelier. I have a master's in hotel management. And so I started my career working with five-star hotels, such as Four Seasons, Marriott, Sheraton in the UK. But one of the hotels, one of the Marriott hotels, their sort of values was always the spirit to serve the guests, the associates, and the community. And that always resonated with me. So early on, I started speaking with young children in low-income schools across East London, and then supporting women who were on addiction. A lot of them were homeless, and that was how I started. I've been a model since I was 15 years old.
Wow.
So in terms of that, that world, I just always knew that there was something more to life than hair, makeup, clothes, which is all wonderful and beautiful, but there's always something else more, and I was always reaching out for that.
So beautiful. So Forbes also highlighted your amazing work. How does that sort of global recognition drive your passion?
It's always great to be recognized internationally. Forbes Africa is a big platform, and it gives an opportunity for that global visibility, global recognition, not just for me or my foundation, but for the beneficiaries and for the cause of zero hunger. Our program is called the Zero Hunger Program, and we're preventing malnutrition, but specifically in areas of conflict and war and terrorism. We're in areas in the parts of the northeast of Nigeria where things are very tough. Of course, not all of the northeast of Nigeria is in that situation, but some key crisis areas. We're also in the far north of Cameroon, areas experiencing conflict as well. We're in Chad, and we're also on the borders of Sudan, where a lot of refugees have come into eastern Chad, to flee atrocities and crime and sexual violence.
This is so amazing.
It's really amazing and wonderful, and the fact that it's been a long time coming, and then you have like a very long-term projection on all of this. Well done. So now let's look at the impact and vision about your foundation. So it's noted that you've distributed over 55 million meals.
Yes.
Oh God, I'm like, and then you've supported hundreds and thousands of women plus children. So all of this is huge and could be trying. So what keeps you going? I mean, what are you calculating up there? Like, how do I handle this? How are we going to get this done? What is that drive that keeps you, and what keeps you going in the face of all of this large-scale distribution?
No, absolutely, thank you. And there are many challenges. The areas that we distribute food, where we're supporting women and children, these are areas that it's very difficult to access them. Parts of the northeast, we take food products from Lagos, from the Apapa port. It takes 7 days by road. The drivers have to park. Sometimes when it's rainy season, they're completely inaccessible. We park the trucks for days. We wait for the sun to dry the flooding. That's how difficult some of these terrains are, together with security issues. But for me, I've always believed that the hardest people to reach are the most important people to reach. So if you say that there are 200,000 women in an IDP camp, in a refugee camp, but it's surrounded by terrorists or by war, but that's exactly where I want to go.
Nice.
I'm thinking, how can we get there? How can we connect? What do we need? Is it a helicopter? Is it trucks? Is it more security? But we have to go.
The most achievers are actually the silent ones. When I mean silent, they're not so loud about what they do, but they just like to make sure the impact is felt. Now, the theme of this year's International Day of the Girl Child, the girl I am, the change I lead, was connected to your journey. How can we raise a generation of ladies and girls who see leadership and empathy as power?
Yeah, I think for everything I do, I'm always conscious of inspiring the next generation of leaders, especially girls. I'm very much the academic, so I have like 5 degrees. I studied at Harvard. I have a distinction and masters from Oxford University.
Definitely.
Yeah. I've studied at the United Nations in Geneva, diplomatic leadership.
Wow.
And so for me, I always tell, you know, even my friends that have daughters, I always think to myself, they asked us to go to school when we were young. We were in class with boys. If they didn't let us skip exams, then we have to achieve absolutely everything that the other gender can. So my advice to girls is that you can reach for the stars, reach for the moon, go beyond. There's no gender divide. We were in classes with girls and boys. We're all going to achieve as far as we can dream. So don't let anyone stop you from doing that. I also think that women need to think big, and they need to think bigger. Like, I'm very much inspired by Bill Gates, and all of the things, all the numbers. We work, you know, in collaboration with a lot of international NGOs, and I look at some of the impact that they've made, and I say, well, I want to do that. I want to make that impact. I don't think of myself as a girl before I make my set my goals. I just think of myself as a human being trying to change humanity.
Let me add to the context. Academia and pageantry. Why? I mean, that's two really hard, different areas. If you look at pageantry's whole works, academia is really intense. So why the two?
To be honest, I have to credit my dad for that, in the sense that, you know, growing up, he used to call me Naomi Campbell. And because I would like try on things, like 10 different outfits before I decide what to wear. And when I was 15, I was scouted in the UK, you know, to be a model. And he said to me, you can do anything you want, but you have to stay in school. And I was like, okay. So modeling was always part-time. I had to stay in school, and I just always thought, you know, if you're anything you do, you have to put your mind to it. So in school, I always applied myself equally in school as I did on the runway. And I credit my dad for that, because it's like, you know, chase your dreams, you can achieve anything you want, but stay in school. And I'm particularly passionate about academia. I'm always interested, I'm always curious, I'm always studying. So I just got to do the two. And I think it's a very lethal combination.
That's a lethal. You obviously have lethal focus. People like you have dangerous level of focus.
So we say a big thank you to Daddy. But what's the deal with women? We have to try 10 outfits on before we finally choose what to wear.
I would scatter my whole wardrobe as a 10-year-old looking for something to wear, and I'm still like that.
Okay, so
and I told Naomi Campbell that story. When I met her, I said it to her. She's a great inspiration.
So now let's look at the human side, because you mentioned you are a human being and you want to do first things first. So your foundation is focused on mental health and also gender-based violence program, which I love, and it's focused on women as well. So looking at it, why is it important that these issues, think we're having stories coming up. We just have a recent from France, the 71-year-old woman who was raped and drugged, and we also have it on the African end where women are actually voicing out. So you are a strong voice. Why do you think it's important to bring these issues to the forefront, and especially in these African societies? Because I mean, it is really prevalent, but women are not, they are not bold enough to talk about it. So we want to know why it's important that these issues be addressed, so that it would not linger to affect the unborn generation.
Absolutely. I think the stories of women have been hidden for way too long. And when stories about women have been told, they've often been told by men, or they've been concealed by men, or the stories have changed, or the narrative or the lens has been shaped predominantly by men. And it's time for women to speak up for themselves. Gender-based violence especially is an atrocity, it's a crime, and unfortunately it's being used as a weapon of war. You know, we're in areas where there's a lot of conflict, and if we think back to the Bring Back Our Girls campaign and the issues that happened in Chibok, that was a clear sign that, you know, people are targeting girls and women to implicate them in war situations, and it's something that happens all around the world, and we need more and more women to speak up against it, and for women to feel free to share their own stories. I was at the United Nations head office last week in New York, and we're creating a new UN resolution on data and digital agency, and one of the ladies said there that she had been raped before, and everyone stood up and clapped, because it takes boldness and confidence to share your own story, but there's nothing more powerful. So it's important to, you know, for us to speak up and protect the younger girls.
What has been the most moving experience, because you work in crisis zones? I'm sure you definitely have to go there sometimes. So what has been the most touching personal story so far?
I think for me, it's been, so we do a lot of work with pregnant and breastfeeding women. Actually, we have two core beneficiary areas that we focus on. It's babies under 24 months and pregnant women. Because I think we'll all agree that 9 months of pregnancy is such a fragile moment in a woman's life. And we thank all the mothers, you know, for that. In Cameroon, in the northeast of Cameroon, we're operating in a refugee camp. There was a particular period, what we call the lean season, where the harvest, they've already taken the harvest and they've sown new seeds and there's no food. In that particular lean season about 2 years ago, 50% of the pregnant women in the camp miscarried.
Oh my God.
Half of them lost the babies because they were they were experiencing malnutrition and undernutrition and just didn't have enough strength to carry the babies. And I think for me, that was by far the most moving story that I've heard, and it was right there in front of our eyes. And now we're working on distributing micronutrient supplements for pregnant women, specifically in refugee camps and in conflict situations. I've actually made it the focus of the next 20 years of the foundation.
Wow, talking about beautiful. Focus, that's really good. Now we're not going to project, like, let's look at it based on projection. Thank you for taking a chance on yourself, and thank you for doing the work that other women will be able to look up to say, if she can, definitely I can too. So what would you have to say to women who went to balance, you know, beauty, their aspirations, just the way you had to combine your academics and then your modern work? That once you have this balanced up, what do you have to say to them? But they are finding it hard to integrate because of societal pressures, because, oh, if I do this, when they say I'm jack of all trades, if I do this, when they say I'm doing too much. So what word, that one word that is so piercing that you can give to that young woman right now?
I think be yourself is the key word. And, you know, for me as well, it took a long time for me to emerge my profile. You know, I would always tell my team, don't say that I'm former beauty queen. Don't say that I'm a model. Just put the academia. And then in the creative stuff, don't say all of my academic background. Just keep it as creative. And it took a long time for me to be able to merge my profile and say, look, this is who I am. Model, beauty queen, Oxford graduate, humanitarian, philanthropist. It's who I am. And that's what makes me me. And that's what makes my story unique, and that's what makes my platform unique, and, you know, makes me more relatable to young girls and, you know, to other women. So I'd say be yourself. Don't let people define for you, you know, who can do what. There's this idea that if you're beautiful, you're not intelligent, and it's a complete lie. And I think we have to be confident to be able to step out and say, this is who I am. And I think that world absolutely loves beauty and brains, right?
Exactly.
So own it.
So just to, what are the plans here in Nigeria? What are the projects you're working on and the works, you know, maybe across board, beauty, academia, and just maybe the support you do to you know, people in the displaced regions? Any projects in the works coming up?
Yes, absolutely. So we have our Zero Hunger program, initially funded by USAID. We're one of their main implementation partners, and we're one of the few foundations that have actually survived through the Trump administration. So as we know, USAID was dismantled, and but now we're still working with the US government. They kept a few foundations and canceled about 6,000. And after US Congress reviews, we were one of the key foundations that was saved. So we're quite pleased about that. And in terms of our expansion plans, we're in Borno, Adamawa, Yobe regions. We've been in about 4 local government areas. We're expanding to 17 local government areas. To give you an example, we've been reaching 102,000 beneficiaries each year. We're raising that up to 500,000 beneficiaries per year. We're also reaching more refugee camps around the world: Burkina Faso, Mali, Democratic Republic of Congo, Sudan and South Sudan. So we're really expanding across Africa. We're not limiting ourselves to Africa either. We have 3 countries that we're also reaching. Haiti is one of them, Yemen, Afghanistan, and also Syria. So 4 additional countries. So we have global plans. We're expanding in terms of scale and also in terms of breadth, in terms of our location.
Well done.
And we're not letting anything stop us. And for me, I'm so proud of being a female leader. You know, when people hear that all of the work that we're doing is that it's a female CEO behind the scenes, I think that gives it even more credence.
Yes, I would have loved to ask most questions, but because of our time, I think I will just hold it here. then probably I'll see you afterwards to ask more questions.
All right, so this is a beautiful way to wrap up the show. She's won the crown, walk the talk, and build bridges of hope for millions. From beauty to impact, Lady Dinah, Mary Dinah reminds us that Trupa is not in the spotlight, but in how much light you can bring to others. But also, before I wrap up, wish a very, very beautiful woman a happy birthday. Real Talk with Kike, I'll call her the Real Talker. Today's her birthday, a rare gem, a visionary woman whose brilliance inspires greatness. Your partnership, passion, and purpose continues to shine through the years. I know Asimo was one that drafted this. It's very inspiring, you know. Birthday shout out to you. Wishing you a beautiful day, and please make sure you bring our cake for us. Yes,
exactly.
We wish you a happy birthday, Real Talker.
I actually saw a post and I saw a girl. Did you see her dress? So lovely. I was like, she's so beautiful. Happy birthday to you. From all of us at the Silverback Group. So let's go on with the word for the day. This is from Vince Lombardi, who says, perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. From Vince Lombardi. So take that beat leap, and of course, you'll be having a productive weekend ahead.
Have a lovely weekend. See you Monday. Bye-bye.